Okay, folks, TGIF. Now it is Friday. Now we can forget about this hell week and yeah, and have some fun here. So let's pick up where we left off here, which was painting this guy, and I've had a little bit of coffee. Hopefully that can keep us awake and motivated to get some more stuff accomplished. Okay, so we are still struggling with trying to finish this guy here, which is, I don't think that there's much left on him, if anything at all. I think I just kind of stopped on this guy because we've got him, and then we've got these knights as well, the banner bearer, and we still hadn't decided what the hell we're going to do with this guy's lance. I think, do I have one that's red and white? I don't. I think that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to give this guy a red and white striped lance on that guy. Okay, so let's go ahead and get moving on that. And that should be the final step, and then we can look and see what the next unit that we're going to do is, which I believe I mentioned it was going to be the bowman. We'll have to sift through there and get the right folks for that. Let's take a look at... Did this dry out finally? I think it finally dried out. I got a little bit. Still got some left in there. Let's go ahead and put a little more. This is definitely the way to go with this airbrush thinner, is this contact lens case. And that way it doesn't all evaporate. Because you have to use such a small amount. Well, you don't have to use any. It just, it's nice to use this stuff as rewetting drops, so to speak. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it rewetting drops for paint. Because it's kind of what it is. It keeps the brush moistened. All right. Let's see, we're right here, and let's see if we can get this in a more central location. There we go. Okay. Let's get us a spot here that's clear of obstructions. Clear of obstructions. All right, so we're going to put some stripes on him. So I think I'm going to end with this thing being red. Okay, so if that's red, okay, if that's going to be red, then let's put the middle of it. We'll do another red, about the middle, and then do the middle of that, and then do the middle of that. Put a little bit of a fan on here, because right now there's no air movement. And even though it's cool, I'm used to having air movement. So we'll do another one down here in the middle. And then the end of this. Anyhow, would have been on in about an hour, but I needed to take a little bit of a break. And my left side was kind of hurting a little bit. I think I was just sitting weird at my desk or something like that. Didn't have to work today. Okay. Hell week. I didn't have a hell week. I had a frustrating as shit week. How about that? That's what it was. And what we're going to do is let's just expand these to where they're bigger. I had a frustrating week. That's all right. Yeah, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with this guy's lance, and I just had to kind of sleep on it. Get everything done except the one thing I wasn't sure about, and then make the most informed decision. And on that note, I will be right back. Okay. Let's drop the speed on this. And hey, somebody showed up that wanted to look at a blank screen. Perfect. The rest of the crew got home, so. All right. I'll retire here to the cave. So we were painting the stripes on this guy. So let's go back to that. And mix more up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to wait to do the final highlight until we bring the white up on the rest of the lance. So you got to pace yourself. Things work better when you pace yourself. And then, like I said, I think we need to jump on the Bowman is what we're going to do. And I think we're going to have a Bowman dilemma. I hope not, but I'll come up to the right decision, even if I got a hard decision to make on them. As I know everybody wants to see the war wagons. So do I, but I think we're going to leave them for last. We were going to do them first, and then I had a little war wagon fiasco and kind of lost my mojo on that for it to come in, so we just worked on other things. We'll leave them for last. They'll be fun to do. Okay, now let's switch back to white. Let's clean all this red off of this. You don't have to be super anal retentive, but okay. So we're going to go ahead and put this and find our white here. And make sure it didn't separate too much. Yeah. Okay, should be okay there, and we should be able to use this. It's already over here. It's a good thing about the wet palette. You don't have to mix every single thing from scratch. There might be something left over that you can use as a starting point to speed up the process. So I've gotten pretty good about staying on track, not getting sidetracked about something else. Sometimes I'll have ideas of like, well, I wonder, because I've still got in the back of my mind at some point to go back to doing my 20mm World War IIs. But you know, the reality is there's so much involved in doing that I don't think I'm going to be getting to that anytime soon. But with that said, I have wanted to tinker with doing some vehicles, which I have a ton of, and kind of paint them in a more modern style. But I don't use airbrushes. I bought a really cheap airbrush, kind of on a, not necessarily on a dare, but kind of as a recommendation. And it was kind of I'd used an airbrush before many years ago. I had one I could borrow, and I used it quite a bit. And what I always hated about an airbrush was cleaning it. It just seemed like it just took forever to clean it. And so I bought one that was recommended to me, and the only thing I was able to use it for was really to do the terrain mats that we use in games. It was like $80. It included a little compressor, but it didn't have a regulator or anything. It was just really basic. I just kind of wanted to see if that was something that I was going to find useful for this hobby, because I don't mind spending more money. I just don't want to spend more money and it be something that I really was just kind of bought on a whim. So I used it quite a bit, and then it was, one day it would work, I'd clean it, and the next day it would work and would start misbehaving, and then it would cause problems. So it was like I basically came to the conclusion that I do painting as therapy. I kid, but as a relaxing activity. And having to deal with an airbrush and things not working sometimes just basically ruined that relaxing experience. So I don't want to have anything to do with an airbrush because it adds stress to my stress relieving activity. So, anyhow, I digress. I wanted to do some vehicles with the new method. Well, I don't know how new it is. It's new to me. It's called modulation, and they do it with airbrushes. And I bet I could replicate a similar fashion with just brushing as well. But anyways, I kind of wanted to give that. I've been wanting to give that a shot for a while, and I've got vehicles to do it. But that's gonna sidetrack me from working on what I'm working on right now. And this project's already taking long enough. So, but I keep thinking I would like to, you know, paint a Sherman or something like that. Something I could use because I've got quite a few troops in 20 millimeters. I've got, they're all based individually, but I've got probably over a platoon of Germans and probably 2/3 of a platoon of Americans. I was building them for a scenario to do in this game called skirmish campaigns, and it was for one particular scenario. And in that particular scenario, the Americans, it's a break out of Normandy type period, and this was a counterattack of a German unit. They actually outnumbered the Americans in this scenario. So I built all the forces for that, and played the game once at a convention, 2004, I think, and we just didn't finish it, and it just kind of left me. It kind of left a bad taste in my mouth because I enjoy finishing games. So then I'm like, and then shortly thereafter, I discovered DBA, and I haven't done any World War II gaming since, which is kind of sad. It isn't because that's all we used to play is World War II. So, but with that said, I do like painting that scale. I do have lots of stuff to paint for it. It's just if I work on it, it's going to end up being kind of like building models where I'd paint it and then it would just sit there and I wouldn't do anything with it, which is the appeal of these 15 millimeter figures that I'm doing now, because not only do we get to be creative with them, but they'll be out and do battle, and they'll be out on video so other people could see them. So but I've been wanting to do one of those multi-step type of vehicle paintings, and I may just do that at some point, just for yucks. So, because when I was doing that stuff a while ago, I was typical gamer. I just buy, and not use and not finish and that kind of stuff, and I try not to do that anymore because that's unsatisfying. So, okay, let's bring a little bit more of this in here. Well, that's why in that game the other night, Joel was actually trying to get me to paint some Napoleonics, and I'm like, no, I got enough stuff on my plate. I got enough stuff on my plate just with these ancients and medievals. So, want to get involved with a bunch of periods and do tiny little bits of everything and all kinds of things and have nothing to show for it. So, okay, I think we're about done with the white. Let's go back to do the red. Show you how we're looking here. Let's rinse that out. And we'll put that on here. I want to see how far I could get on these guys this weekend. Because next weekend is going to be one I'm not going to be able to paint going out of town, so. Got to make up for lost time I haven't even lost yet. Okay. Let's just add a little bit of white for highlighting. Okay. What we're going to do with this guy. So here's the 3 stands and the command stand. Okay. Now, let's go grab. Okay, let's go grab a purple book. Alrighty, this are. Last, I ended up staying somewhere it wasn't supposed to. Well, we have a backup one. We have a backup one as soon as I find it. Let's see. Yes. we're looking for book 4, 43. C. Okay. Okay, so it has to have a Saloy. And then if it has 2 more Saloy, or war wagons, or German or Italian pikemen, or Bosnian archers, which are 3 or 4 bow. Aha. All right. So, that's the decision. I'm not going to build them as 3 bows and 4s. I'm going to build them as one or the other. Let me grab. Let me consult the DBMM book. All right. Which is where all of that stuff in detail comes from. And take a look at what the time period is of the fast or the solid bows and see if it makes a difference which one I have. Because this army list actually starts pretty early. It starts in 1245. But hold on a second here. Let's take a look at... what time period is the... what did it say, those guys? Bosnians? Bosnian archers. They're 1322 to 1343. They're irregular Saloy, or irregular bow, or with shields, irregular bow ordinary. I see. Well, the ones I have don't have shields. I mean, I don't have to give them shields, but... All right, so let's take a look at what I've got, figure-wise. Help me make a decision. Wait for these guys to dry a little bit, and we'll spray them. We're probably not going to spray them until the morning. We'll do that. Spray them in the morning, and then we can start putting that those guys on the stand. Okay. Let's get our archers out. I know I'll put them over here somewhere. Okay. Let's take a look at what we got here. Now, if they're solid bows, that one stand of blade could give them a +1, but I'm not too... All right, so we have some different hat styles here. Let's see what we got in pose-wise. This guy's got no beard. Just a mustache, and he's got not a fur top, but just kind of like a regular helmet. This is the same as those. He's the same as this guy. He's the same as that. He's the same as that one. 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 Okay, no beard. This one, no beard. No beard. Beard. All right, so these are the different poses. There's 3 different poses. Okay, there's these guys that almost have these little miter type caps. I know they're not like that. And then these other ones are the fur ones with like some feathers at the top. So let's go ahead and pull our reference material. And the reference material we're going to be using is Armies and Enemies of the Middle Ages, Volume 2. Here it is, by Ian Heath. And this is one of these books that just about all the castings and sculptings of all these figures are taken from. Okay, let's put this in a position that is a little bit more accessible here. Oh, we don't want it to come off the mount. There we go. Okay, so we've got 3 different poses here. Move them off to the side. Yeah, see, I don't worry about all these details when I'm this far out. When we get closer to where we need to know about them, then I'll worry about that stuff. I knew that I had Hungarian archers. All right. Now, let's find them. I know they're in here somewhere. Use the glossary. Tactics, appendices. Well, it doesn't give you an appendix for that, for the troops. Okay, Tatars, Lithuanians, Polish, we're nearby. I see war wagons, Hussite flags, Hussite handgunners, Bohemian infantrymen. Okay, here's the Hungarian guys right here. Okay, it's these guys here. It's this particular drawing that we're talking about. This is like that miter looking cap. I knew it wasn't a miter cap, but this is the guy. It almost looks like they've got some kind of padded armor on them. And here's the other headgear. You've got this guy here that has that type of headgear. And then this one has the other one, even with this long peacock. It's probably some kind of peacock feather. And then the last one is this guy with this miter cap looking thing here. All right, so let's find out about who has what and what exactly they are. These are all 89, okay? So this is a Hungarian foot soldier. From the mid-14th century onwards, many figures of this general appearance, both cavalry and infantry, are to be found in Italian pictures. Since it was from that time, 1348, that Hungarian armies, individual Hungarian mercenaries began to appear in large numbers in Italy. This particular figure, based on several different frescoes, is fairly certain Zeckler, since we know that of the 3 levels of military service owed by the Zeckler community, the lowest called for the service of light armed infantry. Alternatively, he may be a jobagi, i.e. the holder of a serflot, many of whom were so impoverished by the late 14th, early 15th century they performed their requisite military service on foot. He wears a cap virtually identical to that of 86. plus quilted body armor that tallies closely with the description given by Villani of Hungarian troops campaigning in northern Italy in 1356, where he says their armor generally comprised farsetti, short padded leather corselets, which they seemingly wore 2 or 3 at a time. Certainly the figure depicted here wears 2. Oh, I see. He's got one over the other. A and B show 2 versions of a varying type of Hungarian cap that frequently appears in Italian pictures of the 1350 and 1360s. His arms comprise of a saber and a large composite bow, the characteristic weapons of a jobagi. Bertandone de la Bocquerie reported that Hungarians, Austrians, Bohemians all use bows like those of the Turks, but not so good nor so strong, and they do not use them so well. The Hungarians pull the string with 3 fingers and the Turks with a thumb and ring. Okay, so no descriptions on coloration. Okay, it says he has a hat like 86, so let's see what 86 is. Okay, so this is, he has a cat similar to like the guys that, the light cavalry guys. Yeah. This one was red boots. Light gray fur or sheepskin cap. Okay, well that doesn't give us a whole lot to go on. That does not give us a whole lot to go on. Because ultimately, I'll decide what color to paint them, but it's good to have an informed opinion. So you can kind of help make a decision. So you don't find out after you've done painting the army that, hey, look, I found where the book is. I had it hidden in plain sight. So you don't find out after the fact that you're done that you wish you would have painted something a different way once you got the right information in front of you. Okay? Okay. So, I know I have the Osprey book on the fall of Eastern Europe to the Turks. And there's some Hungarians in there, although I'll admit it's pretty damn useless. There's not a whole lot of things in there that I would have liked. I'd like to see pictures of other things, and those aren't in there. So, I'll take a gander. Here it is. It's Hungary and the fall of Eastern Europe. This particular book here. And let's see if there's a picture of one of these clowns in here. I bet there's not. Which means we'll just have to go with our gut instinct and we'll be fine. I just gonna take a gander here. This is artwork by Angus McBride. And I don't see anything here. How is that? Now, I know for a fact there's another company that makes figures for these guys. These guys happen to be Essex. But I know for a fact that Kurosan made some of these guys and has pictures of them painted. And I think they went with light gray on their jackets. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the right answer, but it is food for thought. And like I've mentioned before, I like getting inspiration from all kinds of sources. Because sometimes you just have to make things up. There's just the information you're looking for a paint scheme or something like that. It just doesn't exist. So sometimes you just have to go with a gut instinct. And sometimes having examples of figures that are already painted helps you at least see what they look like in one version of it. And you might not like it at all, how it looks. But it does give you an interpretation. Or it does give you an example of somebody else's interpretation of those particular figures. So let's go to Kurosan and see what they've got painted up for us. And we got 2 folks here, so welcome, welcome. This is John Hanna. How are you? Yeah, just doing. This is what I do. This is how I come across coming up with things. So we're gonna go and we're gonna go check out these figures on Kurosan and see if they can give us some inspiration. Rasan miniatures. Come on. What's taking so long? I mean, I know my internet here at home sucks, but there we go. All right, so let's go to historical ranges, and I believe they're lumped in with their 13th or 14th century stuff. Let's go all the way to the bottom. All right, let's see if I can. Late 14th century. I believe it's late 14th century. Okay. Oh, they make actual figures for personalities for like this 100 Years' War? Oh, I gotta see this. Sorry, I got sidetracked here. Oh, cool. Huh. These are relatively new. This is a relatively new range for them. Let's go down to, okay, Polish, Hungarian, Serbian. Hungarians, here we go. Infantry archers. Okay, these are the figures that they have. So they kind of did it in like, in leather. Well, it looks really plausible they could be like in this leather type color. Absolutely. And yeah, it looks like they've got hose on too. Okay. Well, sometimes I just, I do stuff like that. Like I'll remember seeing something somewhere and I go, well, I wonder what they did and see what kind of inspiration they get from something else. Because like I said, most of the time you're just inventing things out of nowhere. The information just doesn't exist. Okay, so let's make a couple of fast bow stands. All right, and we're going to need some pennies. And where's my temporary stands are here. There we go. Gonna need 6 of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look at that. Just grabbed them and they happen to be 6 of them. All right, let's get our X-Acto knife. Hopefully not one that's stellar sharp. That one isn't. All right. So we're making, we need 9 figures. So the easy thing to do is just grab three of each pose. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab 3 of each pose. And that's that. And put the other ones away. Okay. Put these back in the baggie. No. 2 of each pose. 6 figures. 2 stands of 3. Okay. It's just the easiest thing to have variety. All right, let's clean these guys up. And see if we can cut ourselves live. Like I already did. Actually, I was cutting up boxes for putting Christmas away. And this is actually not, with the cut. This is an edge of a box that ended up cutting me, and it was last weekend. It bled. It bled forever. Didn't hurt. I didn't realize I was even cut until I felt sticky stuff on my hand. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, oh crap, I got blood everywhere. And that was just the edge of a box that I was cutting up that ran across my finger. And all right, let's clean this up here. Okay, one guy down. This is actually the part I dislike the most. Cleaning flash is just something I shouldn't have to do. It's a byproduct of molds getting used over and over again. Okay. They seem to be mostly fawn leather and gray leather on Google search with light blue trim. See, that's what I forgot to do. I forgot to do that. I forgot to do the Google search thing as well. Okay. Yeah, I do Google image search as well, so. Light blue trim, huh? Okay. Might having some blue on there. And then sometimes some things are painted a color that they just shouldn't be. So sometimes you got to make an artistic, well, you don't have to. I have made artistic decisions that just don't seem right. Like, no, it's just not going to look right if you do them that color. So I don't remember what the last time I did something like that was, but in other words, I went against what was shown. I don't remember the last time I did that, but I have done it in the past, so. Fast archers. And they can also have Saloy with your handgunners. So we'll probably be doing them as well because that's you're gonna how this is one of the match pair these guys are for is for my Ottoman Turks, and you can't show up fighting the Ottoman Turks with the war wagons and stuff like that. They'll end up walking all over the Turks big time. So get them some Saloy might actually make the game a little bit more balanced when they're fighting those guys. All right. So people think I'm crazy, but that's okay because I think they're crazy. But what I use to temporarily base these figures is super glue. And the reason I do that is, well, because I've always done it, but the reason I do that is when you actually pop these figures off, it actually gives you a larger base, which is usually not something you're looking for, but with these figures that have such a minimalist type base on them anyways, it's actually kind of helpful. So we're going to actually make sure these guys can stand up on their own, because then we'll know that this bottom portion is balanced. Okay. Before we glue them. Okay. Looks like just that one guy was trouble. Yep. Okay. And we're just going to put a little drop of glue right in the middle. just going to put these guys on there. Now, I don't use super glue really for anything else because I attach the figures onto the stand with epoxy. Because the problem with super glue is it's very brittle. So as soon as there's any kind of flex in it, pop, it's not gonna be any good to you. Whereas the epoxy provides some ability to flex a little bit and not break free. All right, so we're gonna let these guys, thank you. We're gonna let these guys dry, and that's probably what we're gonna black base first thing tomorrow morning is those 6 figures. That's what we're gonna do. So okay. Yeah, I got the war wagons that I gotta build. I've got the one built, and then we had the fiasco there. Oh, got Australian Greg chiming in. Oh, here we go. The thumbnail image of your commander looks great. I'm in the process of finishing the basis of the second solid horde element of the feudal English army. Good. Get to it. So you can start working on the next army. You use the old paint pots and blue tack, easy to hold in hand, rotate, and then they're easier to paint the undersides. Yeah, I've got some blue tack too. I just ended up getting it after I was already used to using the super glue. So when I used to do 20 mils, this I would use this as the base and what I would paint on. So it was doing double duty. And that's actually something I want to do the next time I do some basing is I want to take one of my old 20s and do the modern basing on them and see what they look like. But I don't want to get sidetracked on that. But because they were really primitive the way I used to do them. Hey, there was no internet, and we couldn't share ideas with each other. So that's really what keeps us all moving forward is different people experiment with different things. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to go spray these guys because that's going to mean I'm going to leave the camera, and that's kind of pointless to do that right now. We'll also spray them tomorrow. Let's see, can we go ahead and paint these guys black? We probably can. Let's go ahead and get the old surface primer. I know, Greg, you said you ended up buying some of this stuff. Did you end up being happy with it as the priming? I really like it. I haven't really tested it whether or not it's very durable, but it certainly is easy to apply. It's very easy to apply, and I don't care how you open one of these things. You always end up getting a little bit of paint on there. It happens with craft paint or anything like that. Where is my little plastic container that I can mix on? It's over here. There we go. We don't need much of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's probably enough. All right. And let's get a brush that we don't love so much. One that's been abused a little bit. And show you how easy this goes on. I love this stuff. This is another thing I started using on a whim. Still playing to do with the feudal English, 2 spear, a cav, 4 knights. Yep. It's a big army. Just having 2 hordes, that's 14 figures. 2 solid hordes is 14 figures, so. That alone keeps you busy for a little while. Okay. So, these guys should be dry enough. We're just going to apply this, and it goes on here so nicely. It's supposed to be some kind of polyurethane or something like that, but it goes on really well. It doesn't cover up over any detail. It almost goes on like thin down enamel black paint. And it does come in other colors. I believe it comes in white and light gray as well. I base everything in black, so that works for me, but I don't want to have some spot that I happen to have missed all the way in some recess and it's a lighter color in the recess than somewhere else. So I'm pretty much stuck on using black and have now for 25 years. Yeah. No, longer than that. Nah, something like that. Something like that. So probably ever since I did figures, because before that I was doing vehicles and stuff. And I didn't prime them at all. Um, I painted GHQ ships and stuff. None of my ships were primed. They were just painted right on there and just roll with it. Hey, I didn't know any better. That was back when the people that were priming, they would use the Poly-S or Flocool spray can. It was like the spray can that it was like an off-white color. And that stuff was pretty cool because when you were done with it, it really showed all the detail that it had. But it was also white, which is not really useful for the recesses of something. You couldn't get the black, so you went with a dark gray primer. And yes, you do like it. Flows straight off the brush. Yeah. I also got the light gray to use with Citadel's contrast paints for horses. Okay. Have you done any of the horses yet? Or you're going to try that with the feudal English? I was actually going to try to get some contrast paints. Maybe we ought to, well, it was when the pandemic first hit and all the stores were cleaned out of stuff and I could never got a hold of them just to experiment on them. It wasn't like I was going to switch to it, but just to see what the heck they were. But we have a store here that has Games Workshop products here in town and has a very hard time restocking things. So that and they have people that are pretty useless that work there. You know, I asked them that they have something, and I had to go find it myself. I didn't even know it was in their store. So it's unfortunate. I'd rather go to the store and actually buy it in person than wait a couple days to get it. All right, hold on a second. I'll be right back. Okay. So yeah, I'd rather buy it right in the store than mail order it. But that doesn't seem all right. You brush, you're no good. It's that one's already misbehaving. Let's try this one. The brush got fired. Okay. White's good for horses if you're painting them bay or grays. Usually for feudal English horses, no problems with supply chain here. Yeah, well, that's just the particular store here. I'm surprised that you have a gaming store considering what you told me what your population is there. Let's say live in a pretty darn small town there, Greg. Let's put it this way. A town here in Florida with that population wouldn't have anything. They'd have a Walmart. That's about it. Walmart, a Dollar General. Okay. Two more. Oh, missed a spot. No big deal if you do. Oh, somebody didn't dry. Well, normally I have them wait longer, but you know, audience and all that. So just for you guys that enjoy watching our game videos, there will not be a DBA game this coming week. We are going to be doing something else, supposedly, and it is not DBA related, it's not DBN. That doesn't mean we won't film it. It just, you know, don't don't be expecting the normal because that's not going to be the case this coming week. So, well, we got some cool stuff coming up in February. Well, if you're going to be difficult like that, you're going to be difficult like that. All right, I'll tell you what we're going to do. As soon as I find it. Much too large a piece. Still too large a piece, but this will do. There we go. Onward! This stuff I have is pretty old. It's not, well, it's not blue for starters. And haven't really used it for anything. What have I used it for the most? It's actually my wife's probably. Um, I had to put a little bit of this on a couple of things I wanted to hang up on the wall that I always wanted to twist over a little bit to kind of hold them in place. I ended up getting my daughter a phone. Let's see, how can I say this? A rubber case that her iPods fit in, and it had a separate lid that wouldn't stay on. So I ended up having to put some of this between the plastic of the device and the actual rubber lid for it to hold in place, and it worked pretty well. Yeah, I don't use it for much. I used it for something for the other day, and I don't remember what it was, but yeah. All right. So we're doing a beverage. Time for a refill. Didn't your visitor from up north use contrast paste for his armies? I think he said he did. Probably being a university town with students coming from all over provides a ready market. My town's got a population of 10K. Wow, that's tiny. And we are lucky we got a game store and 2 art shops that were open until lockdown. John, where do you live? Do you live stateside? I think you said you did. I don't remember. 10K is tiny. Wow. We're like 150K, and we're not a big place. Well, there's a lot of stuff for the 150 that, is not game related. I mean, the only thing we've got is we've got one store that does like the just generic game stuff, and they have some Games Workshop stuff. Paints, that's the only paints they have. Then we have a comic book place that has Games Workshop stuff at all, but it's like behind the counter and they don't have any in stock. It's a pain in the ass, and they were really low on stock. And then we have a Hobby Lobby, and they carry Vallejo, but they don't carry a full range. But they've got brushes and stuff like that. So that's where I go and get my brushes now, since we're not going to the Walmart that we used to go to. I've pretty much stopped using them now for over a year. So we get them somewhere else. So I have to pay maybe $1 more for a pack, but I don't have to deal with the strange cats that go to Walmart. I'll be right back. We're going to get a refill, and we will continue. Okay. We're back. All right. We're waiting for these guys to dry. It's always good, even though I don't like jumping around from things to things. If you've got a couple hours and you can work on stuff, just make sure you're always working on something. Because otherwise you're just kind of putzing around and don't do anything. So here is the crew to my war wagons. Did them a while ago when I thought I was going to do the war wagons next. And it's 2 war wagons, and we've got some guys here that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 4 guys that are going to be shooting outside of from the war wagon. I just don't know how in the hell I'm going to get them in there. So I think I was kind of overly ambitious that was going to be the case on this. And then of course we've got the little step on there. These are kind of involved and everything. So we're going to have a flag bearer and all kinds of fun stuff on there. This is going to be good looking little pieces. I don't know how they're going to perform in battle, but they're going to look good anyhow. And then we've got the 2 other stands and knights that we have to do also. Just standard knights that can be used to replace the deep knights. And what do we have there? We've got this guy. We got another one of those. We got this guy. We got this one. We got this guy. I'm missing one guy. That one. I believe that's the figures that we're going to use for that. Let's clip these guys up. Yeah, these old midi figs have lots of flash on them. Lots of flash. I like minifigs, but don't they come like in really big packages of like, or they used to, almost like 24 figures, and they all had the same pose, and that's about you. That's useless. I mean, you could do Roman legionnaires and stuff like that. That you were going to do that state equipped figures or units that are equipped by the state. That the people show up as peasants and they get issued with everything else to make them look kind of uniform within the unit. I can see that, but if you're doing like feudal knights or something like that, that's just not my thing to have so many of them in the same pose. But if you find these like in a grab bag, which is I'm sure where these guys came from, I bought them at a flea market or something like that, going through a flea market thing and flea market at a convention, and encountered these guys. Yeah, I don't mind picking them up. That guy's got a little shield. So does this guy. I believe these are knights from the 100 Years' War period. And then here's another two knights. I want to say I had another one. Even yet. Maybe I didn't. Who's this over here? Ah, yeah, here's another one. Okay. I pushed him off to the side. I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't see 2 feet in front of me. Literally. Blind tusk for having to head out. Lanark in Scotland. Lots of Scotsmen on here. Good deal. Good deal. You guys will be happy if I do pre-feudal Scots next, I guess. That would actually fit in nicely with some of the armies that we have. And they have fast pipe, kind of a fan of them. It's good. You already have a flag and the troops form also. And they fall into the whole category of a boring army, and I got to find out another name for it because it's not what I want to say. It's a not colorful army, and so in other words, like my Irish, like these guys are all like all kinds of blues and reds and fancy or whatever. Fancy as opposed to non-fancy. There we go. The Irish are not non-fancy, and those guys would be the same way. They would be a non-fancy army. In other words, the guys with the money would definitely could have some colorful get-ups, but everybody else is just kind of wearing, peasant wear, which is, honestly, I enjoy painting that stuff a lot. My Irish are one of my favorite armies, and I can see the pre-feudal Scots being the same way as well. So. Drab army. There you go. That's the word. Exactly. Yeah, I enjoy the drab armies. I got to remember to put my last 2 games in on my spreadsheet with my Armenians. Speaking of drab army, the 2 cataphract stands aren't drab, but everybody else in the army is. They're pretty darn boring army. Most of them don't have helmets or anything. So, but I've played almost 80 games with them. I've used them quite a bit. And the last 2 games I played, they won. So they already had a pretty good record. Did I leave the computer on? Take a look at that. Yeah, I didn't. Perfect. My Excel spreadsheet from hell for the wins and losses, just for yucks. We'll minimize that. Should be this one right here. Is this the latest one that I have? File. Here's the latest one. Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so my my Armenians were 44 and 27, so now they're 46 and 27. That's quite a few games. That's 73 games with them. So, yeah, I've used them quite a bit. They are definitely the army that I've used more than anything else. French Ordnance have 53 games. That's quite a bit. Oh, the medieval Germans, geez. They got 59 games. That's a lot. I didn't realize I played them that much. Rajputs have a lot of games in them too. They're 38 and 35. Wow, they've been taking it in the shorts lately. They had a better win record than that. So that's 40. That's 72 games with them. Wow. Yeah, I got a lot of armies, a lot of games in them. But yeah, my Armenians. That was my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My 8th army I painted, and yeah, they got a lot of games in them. So cool. Yeah, I got to update that thing before it gets out of control. So, but yeah, and I still have a handful of armies that are not 3.0 compatible, but I don't know when we'll go back and do that. I'd rather keep moving forward, building other armies. So, anywho, right. So we've got a couple of these guys here we need to clean up and stuff. Just basically keep them busy till these guys can dry up a little bit and we can start working on them. Now, what was it you had said on the Bosnian archers? Yeah, I'm a big fan of Google image search, no doubt about it. Bosnian archers. Yeah, it looks like I'd probably go with like a light brown type color. Let's see if we get something different on Hungarian archers. Here we go. Okay. How we doing on these guys? Try. Okay. Yeah, some of these old minifig horses are really pretty cool looking. I mean, look at, this is an old horse casting, but this is a good miniature. I'm sure it's kind of primitive and, you know, you got flash issues and stuff here on the saddle that you got to clean up, but I like this stuff. And then you've got, I'm not sure who this is, who manufactured this one. I want to say this is probably Asgard or some old school figure, but there's some details here on the horse barding here. You can tell it's metal, almost like a sun rays or something like that. Armored horse. They just got a lot of flash on them. They got a lot of flash on them, so. You know, but they look pretty freaking cool. And they'll paint up really well. They'll look good. I promise you. They will. They'll look the part. Okay. $8:30. Keep going or call it a night? I gotta switch some clothes. I'm doing laundry. Try and multitask, and you know, I'm not the best multitasker at all. So, by any means, but I admit I'm not a good multitasker. Unlike most bad multitaskers. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, these guys are wearing almost the same shirt. Let's get my leather brown. Where is it? Is it this one? There it is. No matter where you go, there you are. There's plenty of heraldry for Scots. Okay, except this is early Scots, earlier than that period. Because Mitch already has a Scots Common, guys. So there's plenty of heraldry for Scots, and most towns that raised troops would use town colors and town flags. My town got a double-headed eagle with a silver belt and an elf claw and open razor claw. Okay. Yeah, my coat of arms has a double-headed eagle, a black double-headed eagle. So yeah, I'm partial to those. Yeah, these are like the Macbeth time period guys. So I don't think any of these guys even have a shield that would be that would have heraldry to it. So, but not sure if we're going to do them next DBA army, but it's looking pretty likely. I like the idea of doing another drab army. There's a couple other things that could pull my attention from that. I could finish up my Russians, which is what I should do, but I didn't do it last time, so. Got half a mind to build a Mongol army. I've been talking about it for some time. But that's going to make me want experiments with some house rules because black eagle on yellow background, of course. Why would it be anything else other than that? That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I feel sad for people that have really lame heraldry. Like a guy blowing a horn out of his ass or something like that. Or the one that I pulled up of Mitch one time and it's just like a potted plant, like lame. I wouldn't fight for that. A potted plant. And against what everybody else would do, everybody would just go ahead and paint all the doublets that these guys are wearing at once, and that's just not me. I'm going to paint one figure at a time. It just take way too long for me to have anything to show for it if I did it mass production wise. An excuse I like to use is, well, if I don't like how it turns out, I didn't go and have to paint all of them that way. Well, that's not usually the case for me. Rarely does something happen where I'm not happy with how it turned out. It has happened, and it sucks when it does happen. But in Scotland, well, you're into the wee hours. And if I better build a Scottish army, it'd be an excuse to drink scotch at our games, right? You know I'm going to do that. Getting into the spirit of it, literally. Though when I was on vacation, we went to a place that had, I should have taken a picture of it. I didn't think about it. It was a brew house, and they had a Scottish ale, and the name of it was called, well, it wasn't from Scotland. It was like their own thing that they made there, and they just gave it a Scottish name. It was called, oh shit. Well, I'll have to find out what it was. But they even sold like T-shirts with it. It had something to do with undead. The undead. Oh man, I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna have to look that up because it was really cool. You'll get a kick out of it. I don't know why I didn't take a picture of it. I don't know why I took a picture of it. Let's see. The name of the place was called the Terminal Brew House. The Terminal Brew House, and it's one of their things there. And let's see. Man, my internet is slow. At home, not on the phone. It's this neighborhood. They don't have fiber here yet. You better believe we'll get it once it's available. Yeah, I don't want to know when you're open. I want to know what you have. Standing piece of side, happy innocent, okay. Learn more. Here we go. Okay, you guys, you're in luck. Come on. It has a little logo. They had a logo for each one of the brews. I thought that was pretty cool. And as far as I know, they don't like bottle and sell it out. Everything was just on tap there. Well, it's kind of small here, but let's see if you can see it. It is called Dead Sexy Scottish Ale. Deep amber ale, just the right amount of malt sweetness, balanced with enough hops to finish clean and crisp. Oh, I should have tried it. It's only 18 IBUs. I don't like things that are high IBUs. I mean, I can drink it, but I prefer smoother things. Yeah, so it's an undead Scottish wench with the bagpipes. Yeah, dead sexy. I don't know why I didn't try that. Well, next time we go to Chattanooga, that's what I'll try. I'm sure we will be there Again, we had a great time. A great time, and it wasn't that far. It was maybe 8 hours away, which for us Americans is not far. Dead sexy Scottish ale. That's what it is. I didn't know Scottish ales were low on IBU. Yeah, I don't like high IBU things. I can drink them. I just prefer not. I prefer to have a smooth finish. If you're going to let me choose. So, I don't volunteer to get an IPA. I've had some, and they're usually great. They start off great, and they just finish like, not so nice. But, yeah, we'll have to try that next time. Dead sexy. Maybe next time I come back there, we'll already have a Scottish Army done, and it'll be an incentive to have that. Mitch has Scots Common, and his pikemen are done in such a way that they don't mesh well with the figure that's in front of them. So when they're fighting the enemy, you have to turn them around and moon them, as we like to say, because they don't fit. Their pikes are like at a 45-degree angle or 60-degree angle or something like that. They're enough forward that the enemy guys can't go into close combat with them, which is, it kind of sucks because it doesn't have the right. It's not going to look right when they're in contact. So we have to turn them backwards and they moon them. But that's the army he has, so there's no incentive in me building those guys. Those are the guys that run from before Falkirk all the way into the King James stuff at the early 1500s. They're running into like 1540 or something like that, the army list. Maybe a little shy of that. So the one I was going to do is pre-feudal Scots. So we're looking around the Norman time period. Back when it was Alba. And they have a corps of fast pikemen. Some warband. A couple bow they can have. And I want to say a light horse and a cavalry general. But half of their army is fast pike. As opposed to later Scots Common, they're all solid pike. Dead sexy. Okay, we still have some white here, don't we? That's alive. We do. Okay, let's take a look and see what we got here. Kind of hard to see. Get something white behind him. Beer's not as popular as it used to be. There's gin brands popping all over the country. They're relaxed the laws on making gin. Yeah, the one we get here is Hendrick's from Scotland. And one of our favorite things from Scotland is that Krabby's ginger beer, alcoholic ginger beer. That stuff's great. Stuff's expensive, but that stuff's great. That's one of Mitch's favorites. That's from Scotland. And Zeiston's in Scotland, right? Pretty cool. Not a bad manufacturer to have in your backyard there. They just don't make stuff of all kinds of ranges, but I like their stuff. I like Zeiston. All right, so this guy, we know we're going to have a white undershirt on this guy. We're going to have a white. You get a nice Highlands and Isles Army. I do. I've got some. I can build one of them. They're just kind of a lot of the same troop type. They're a lot of blade. Right here. I was going to build 3 stands of them as allies for my Irish. And some of them right here. I just decided to work on the Hungarians instead of bolster the allies. So I've been using my Norwegians as troop types when they come in as allies. But I've got a Scots Isles army. Lots of people actually have that army. That's a pretty common army for an obscure. And they're obscure because what are the military accomplishments of the Scots Isles and Highlands? Well, nobody knows. I mean, they're not known for that. So they're obscure from that standpoint of, there's not Alexander the Great or anything like that, or the Romans, but I've seen quite a few people that have them. I was going to just build 3 stands of them to use as my Irish because they're allies to the Irish, and I still may. I still may do that. But unlike maybe some other people that play, well, let me rephrase that. Unlike some other people I play with, when I decide to build an army or what have you, I actually gets me reading about their history. So that's the appeal of it for me. So that's a big part of it. It's a way to learn. Okay, well, I'm going to call it a night for this. This is, I've been up since 5 in the morning, so we will probably go on at early tomorrow morning and pick up where we left off. But anyways, thanks for hanging out with me, and yeah, we'll see some Hungarian Bowman coming up in the works. Okay, until next time, happy painting, folks. See ya.